Alright YouTube, in this episode we shall be hopefully putting it all back together, the front end, so putting the hub control arm assembly on, putting the big brake kit on, trim the dust shield to the big brake kit fits, putting all the plastic arches back in, braided hoses on the front, and the little distribution block. Yeah, let's get cracking. So the plan is to offer up the big brake kit to the hub to see how much I need to cut off, so I might as well cut it off while it's not on the car, make it a bit easier. But I just need to figure out which way the adapter bracket thing, the aluminium bracket I think it is, need to find out which way that goes around. So I just need to clean up the discs so I can put them on the hub, or at least sort of see where they sit, so I make sure I get the adapter the right way around. There's my great big Nissan Nurano, I don't know what they're called. So these giant discs for my big brake kit. So I just got some brake cleaner. They arrive with like some kind of anti-rust coating on them. I've actually got an unboxing video for these, which will be in the unboxing playlist, surprisingly, and you can see the unboxing videos for the discs and Brembo big brake kit. So yeah, go and check those out, guys. Right, so I've butchered these dust shields. I was trying to aim to do roughly in line with the top of this curve here. I just chucked a bit of paint on them, just try and hopefully stop them from rusting. So that's them done. I just got my mallet and tapped these on as far as I could get them. So a fellow YouTuber made a good suggestion when it comes to the Brembo brake calipers, in regards to keeping them looking nice and clean and new. So that's FN2 Ops. So yeah, shout out to him. And if you haven't subscribed to him, go and check out his channel and subscribe to him, because he's got a lot of great content on there. So what he suggested was using this G-Tech wheel armour, which can be used on wheels, brake calipers and exhaust tips, to keep them looking nice and fresh for a couple of years. So I was intending to do the rear ones, the ones I refurbished as well. The wheels are on at the moment and I shall do them another time. But while the opportunity's there, I'm going to apply this to the Brembos, so hopefully keep them looking nice and snazzy. There we are. Don't look any different, to be honest, because they were spotless before, but hopefully it will protect them. I've been working away and I thought, shit, I haven't actually recorded anything, so I'll just give you a little update of where I've got to. It's a little bit fiddly trying to line everything up while you're sitting here, but I mean, could be worse, I suppose. Let me tell you how I did it. So I started by just placing this bolt in. This is the bottom bolt of these two on the strut, just to take the weight of the hub. Then I managed to get a couple of bolts going. There's two bolts, that one and then the one that's over there. Managed to get them to catch on a few bits of thread. Then I managed to get this big long bolt in here. So this one had no instructions, but it had these giant washers. There's 4 of them, so I presumed you'd have one either side of the bush where the control arm or wishbone meets it. I've just been messing around with this camber bolt, trying to figure out which way gives you the most camber. So you can see there's there's a little arrow on the side. Let me show you what happens. I'll just try that nut on the side there. Hopefully the camera will pick this up. Whether you'll be able to see the top of that arm move. Alright, there we go. This is a bit more scientific, isn't it? So let me turn the old camber bolt. As I've done those two bolts up, the camber bolt and the one below it, so I realised that the angle you're seeing is the opposite camber to which we want. So like the top of the wheel is leaning outwards. So I think that's because there's no weight on the wheels, so it's just kind of hanging down a bit. So what I've done is I tried to get the angle as near to 90 degrees as I can. So when the wheels drop down, it should hopefully mean it goes into like a negative camber, so the top of the, was it negative or positive? I can never remember, but basically the camber you want, so the top of the wheel leaning in towards the engine. So I'll probably just take it for an alignment after I've done all this. So yeah, it's a bit fiddly trying to, I think I was just confusing myself thinking it was the right camber, but yeah, wrong camber. So it's the next day now, time to get the driver's side assembly on, which is down there. I'm hoping this is going to be a bit quicker. You know, it's like when you do one, sort of takes about twice as long because you're trying to figure out the best way of doing it. So this one hopefully should be a bit quicker because I've got a bit more of an idea of which bolts to put in first and the best order to do things in. So hopefully it's going to take a lot less time because I could do with getting some PlayStation time in. I just don't want to spend all day. It's Sunday today and it's the day of the Lord. So I don't know why I said this side would be easier having done the other side, because it was a bloody pain in the ass. Yeah, it's just almost like things weren't, like the bush carrier on the rear of the control arm, it was like it wasn't quite onto the arm enough and it just wouldn't line up the bolt holes. Actually, let's look at the car rather than me jabbering on. So I would get that bolt in, get the drive shaft in, get the track rod in, and then these two bolts here were just absolutely miles off where they should be. So that was a real struggle. I had to I could just about get them into the hole, but they would have gone in at a funny angle, so I had to get like a big, I don't know where it's gone, got a big pry bar. So I had to lever the carrier so the bolts would go in straight. So yeah, that was an absolute ball ache. Why it did that, I have no idea. It's almost like this wasn't on enough in that direction, but I could not push it any further, so I tried to set the camber like before, set it to the nearest vertical as I can get, and I shall take it for an alignment, so I imagine it's going to be completely out every single bloody direction. I put a new clip on here. I'm just hoping that this, because it's a Jubilee clip, that this little bit here doesn't cause any vibration, because it's got a slight little extra bit of weight on here. But I mean, it weighs next to nothing, but if there's any vibration, I'll know to get some sort of replacement clips to the ones that are already there. If I had more time, I would have treated, I might still treat that and paint that because that's rusty. But yeah, I never got around to spraying the bottom of the shocks. Like I said before, I'm going to go to coilovers, so it doesn't really matter, these are going to come off at some point. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop there. So I can't believe I'm out here again, pissing around with this bloody front wishbone bush. So it's probably my own fault really. So as we all know, I couldn't get the two washers, the one that goes either side of the bush. So I thought, well, I can get one in. So I put one in, but I put it at the rear side of the bush. And I was looking at the ones I took off. So you can see that that's the front side and that's the rear side. So yeah, there's obviously metal on the front side and then just rubber on the rear. So going by the original bushes, it's not so important to have metal at the back, but it is at the front. I'm going to have to take those bloody things off again and put the washer at the front rather than the back. So I'm just kind of assuming just by looking at the OEM bushes, but could be completely wrong. Definitely advise getting someone else to fit them, because having said that those bushes were the easiest ones to fit out of all of them, or out of the wishbone bushes. So yeah, the bush is easy to get in, but to get the wishbone back on with the washers is just absolute nightmare. I don't know how people were doing it, so there we are. I should have to take them off again. I just want this all sorted so on the weekend I can start with the big brake kit. Fucking bushes, why don't know why I bother with these bloody bushes. I should have just got like an OEM one. It's also odd though, if you look at other types of aftermarket poly bushes, they don't have any metal bits on them, it's just rubber either side. So I'm a bit confused why the PowerFlex ones have these giant metal washers that go either side of the bush. I guess the washer's moving around the front. This is the way I'm going to leave it. You know, so don't go slating me in the comments saying that's not the right way to do it, because I know that. I just can't get the other one on, so I've given up. I just can't be asked I can't be asked to spend hours and hours trying to do it. It's just not going on. So there we are. This is what I've done. So hopefully you can see the washer is on the front side of that bush. I've torqued up all the various bolts. So what I'm using, once again, I have to remind you that this isn't for a Type R, because Haynes saw fit to not include the Type R in this. So I've just used these torque settings as a bit of guidance. Let me try and get a shot of those. Yeah, like I said before, use these at your own peril, because they're not for the Type R, but it's better than not having any torque settings, isn't it? Just been sort of trying to figure out which way everything goes on. I have noticed that these don't come with Banjo bolts. There's my braided lines and the little junction box. Don't know why you call them junction boxes, that's what they're called, I don't know. So this side we have a Banjo connection, so that'll obviously need to have a bolt that holds it on, so I presume that will be fed through that little gap there, kind of like that. The instructions are a bit vague, to be honest. There's a huge sheet, just loads of different languages and tiny little pictures and things, and there's like 3 different calipers, so it doesn't really lend itself. You could do with one set of instructions for each type of caliper, but there we are. So what I shall have to do is undo the brake pipe here, put a cap on it, so I can take the caliper away, and I'm hoping that the Banjo bolt from around there fits. I did a bit of googling, they seem to be the same, which was like 10mm with a 1mm thread. Is it thread pitch? I forget, but the one, you know, the distance between the thread. So hopefully that'll fit, otherwise I'll have to order some new ones and it's going to put me back the weekend. It's my own fault, I should have realised the new calipers didn't come with the Banjo bolt. There's first step done. I just used my 10mm open sort of brake spanner to undo that. I was expecting it just to round it off, it actually undid it. It caught me by surprise. So I've just chucked my blanking, I think it's brass blanking cap on to stop the fluid coming out. So now I can take this caliper away. I can get this bracket off. We have to put that in the vise. And I can see if the old Banjo bolt fits. I've got the driver's side one off now as well. Yeah, I needed a vice to get that nut out of there, which holds it to the bracket. Sorry, the bolt. It was in there pretty solid. As soon as I'm just doing a couple of hours today and I'm doing the main work tomorrow, I thought I might as well get these brackets in the old Vapor Rust. Give them a bit of a clean up. Might as well. Right, so I've got the Banjo bolt out of the old calipers. So in my opinion, there's a little bit of an issue. It's the right diameter and thread pitch, but the hole location seems a little bit off. Let me show you anyway. So there's the old brake hose where I've taken the Banjo bolt from. If I grab the new one and compare them, so you can see it's a bit narrower, hopefully. Now if you look at the Banjo bolt, you'll see the hole where the fluid's supposed to go into and then out the bottom into the caliper. I've had to put my camera down because I need two hands for this. So inside the Banjo end of the brake hose, a little hole, you can just see it there. You can see there's a channel that's cut into the centre, so if you were to break out the width of this into four, the middle, the second and third quarter is where that channel is. So that needs to line up with that hole there. Because this is thinner, I put the washer on that's supplied, but the hole it's not really in the centre. Right, so I wasn't too happy with using the Banjo bolts from the original calipers. Wasn't quite happy with the hole alignment in the side of it. It didn't quite sort of line up with the centre of the Banjo fitting. So I've gone and bought a couple of different sizes. So I popped up to Merlin Motorsports, shout out to them because they're really helpful. And I've got myself two different sizes, if I can get them out of the bag, two different sizes of Banjo bolts. So what I'll do is I'll line the original up with the new ones so you can see how the hole is a bit different. Right, so I've put the new ones on top of some sort of washers just to try and line all them up, because obviously the original one, the bolt head is a lot thicker. So those are pretty much lined up. And now you can see where the hole is on the side in comparison to the original. So it's a lot closer to the bolt head, which is what I was going for because of the Banjo connection on the braided hose, so much thinner than the original. I just wasn't happy with using the original bolt. I don't think the hole would have lined up properly and it probably wouldn't function properly. There we can see I've got two different ones. They're basically the same, just different length. I shall try and have a little look inside the caliper whether to go for the big or the small one. We shall find out. So you never know, by the end of tomorrow I might even have a car that moves. It's quite impressive. Right, so the Brembos are going on today, hopefully. Just been doing some sort of trial fits just to make sure I get the bracket the right way around. What I have discovered though is you'll need to put the bracket on before the discs. So the calipers, where they fit to the hub, there's no thread. You've only got thread in this adapter. So the bolt needs to go in. So imagine the disc is here. The bolt needs to come in from this way to bolt this adapter to the hub. So when you've got the disc on, you can't get to this side. So that's the first thing. That needs to go on before the disc. And I was pretty confident about, you can see there's two different ways this can go. There's a little step there. I was pretty confident the other way was right, but I thought I'd try it this way just to make sure. You can see it doesn't quite look right, because where it sits, you would think this would be flush to the edge of the metal there. And then this side it sort of steps out a bit. So yeah, that's the wrong way around. It needs to turn it 180. Thought I'd try it just in case I was being stupid. So yeah, I think we're good to go. I'm gonna get the adapters on. Probably put a bit of copper grease on the hubs. Get the discs on. Put a bit of copper grease on here. Put the spacers on. And hopefully I can start putting the calipers on. Exciting times. Just looking at the torque settings, because I'm obviously going to have to torque up the adapter because I won't be able to get to the bolts afterwards. So what I can, as far as I can gather, I've got the M12 times 1.75, which are these little ones, and then the big ones are the M14 times 1.5. Now in both cases, the M14, 165 Newton meters. Bloody hell. My torque wrench only goes up to about 100, I think. So I'm going to struggle with these two. So I'm reading that as really, really tight. Alright, I just managed to get my torque wrench. Yeah, this goes up to 112 Newton meters. It's pretty close to that 115. That 165. I guess I'll have to judge how tight 112 is and just give it a little bit extra. Yeah, it's a shed load of torque. So you're obviously going to need some decent Allen key socket things. You're obviously not going to be able to do this with a normal Allen key unless you just stick a pipe on the end and just do it really tight. So yeah, you're probably going to need something like this. So typically they're two different sizes. The big black bolts are 12 and the smaller silver bolts are 10. There we are. There's a turn up for the books. I've actually managed to give you some information on what tools you need. Time for another wee update. So I think the last update was putting this bracket on here. So I've put the little, I don't know what you call it, a spigot ring. It's like a tiny little spacer that comes with the Brembo kit, a few millimeters thick, which goes, because the disc isn't the exact size as the hub. So I put that in first, then I put the disc on, and now I've just put the, shall I point the camera at what I'm talking about? That might help. So I've put the disc, I put the spacer on as well. Now you'll find it's hard, I don't know what to torque these two, to be honest. Didn't say, I don't think, in I don't think there even were any instructions, but I'm assuming it's roughly what you would do the wheel at. Now, how do you torque these up? Obviously with wheel nuts, your car's on the ground and you can put loads of torque into them. But when it's up in the air, I'm not saying this is the right way, because I don't want anyone to wreck their calipers or anything, but the only way I could do it was to get a great big screwdriver and put it into the vented section in the middle. There's loads of little segments, and then sort of hold on to that one while I stick a torque wrench on the nuts. I mean, if you can think of a better way, feel free to chuck it in the comments. But yeah, like I said, this wouldn't be the best way to do it, but it's the only way I can think of. But yeah, please don't go and wreck your discs. So it's all going so well, I could not get one of these pins in. So the thinner side on both is fine. They go in nice and easy. So it must be something to do with the other end. So I've just measured 7.81. This one's 7.63. This is the one that goes in alright, the other one we're not going. So yeah, so that 1/5 of a millimetre is enough to stop it going in properly. This is a right pain in the ass. So I'm going to try and file it down a bit, because I want to get these on today. I don't want to have to order some new pins. You see, some sides are even bigger. So yeah, it's not very round, is it? That's a bit shoddy, isn't it? Wow, what a ball ache that was. The car was like, you're doing too well today, I'm going to have to throw a spanner in the works and make it a bit more difficult for you. I suppose it could have been worse. Luckily I've got this electric grinder, so it kind of made it a lot easier. Just had to make sure I didn't take too much off at a time. Yeah, it's in now. Piece of piss when they actually fit. Right, it's now time to get these on. So I've soaked these in vapor rust, and then just gave them a quick coat of black paint. As you can see, I labelled them left and right just to make it easier for my simple brain. So yeah, I've got to bolt these to the brackets, refit the brackets to the wheel arch, and then connect the brake pipe and the brake hose. There's the first braided hose installed. So it's just that this bracket slides back and forwards. It's just plastic, so don't go mad tightening that up. The bit of the braided hose that you tighten up, typically that's 11mm. So I've got like 5 different brake pipe spanners, but they go up in 2mm increments, 8, 10, 12, etc. So when I was vapor rusting all the bolts from the control arms a little while ago, there was one other little bolt in the bottom of the bucket, and I could not for the life of me figure out where it was from. And I just figured out where it's from. It's the little bracket that holds the brake hose onto the bottom of the shock absorber. So that's cool. I didn't know. I was just racking my brains. I thought, was that just falling in from somewhere? But yeah, it's always nice when you figure out where that extra bolt goes. I've done both sides now. You can see I've rerouted the ABS sensor cable. I've torqued up these 2 bolts. And I think that's it. I've torqued everything else up. There we go, one wheel arch in. Probably a good idea to stock up on clips beforehand, because you probably will break about half of them. I seem to have gone a bit crazy with my clips over the years. I'm pretty sure I got these off eBay. Got different size ones. They look slightly different, but they do the same job. Got a couple of different sizes. So it just occurred to me that I haven't actually tried the front wheels on to see if they actually clear the Brembos. So yeah, I've just tried that now, and yeah, I was a bit worried that they weren't going to fit, even though people have said they're running 15mm spacers and Brembos. But yeah, I was expecting them just to be clipping them. But yeah, I think it's probably like, I don't know, maybe 2-3mm gap at the narrowest bit. It's going to be hard to gauge just by looking at a phone, but you got to admit they look pretty cool, don't they? I was just about to grab the front cover and slide it under the car, ready to fit that on. I noticed that this bolt here had ripped through. You flip this around. So you can see these have like fixed metal bits on the back which you screw into. This one had just completely ripped through, so it's hanging down. I remember when I was driving I kept catching on things, so I've just gone for a couple of cable ties. I was going to put bolts on, but it'd be a real pain in the ass if you need to get this off and trying to access the nut on the other side. And I thought of self-tapping bolts, self-tapping screws, but I didn't really want a pointy bit on the other side. So yeah, settled for good old cable ties. Right, just one more cover left to go. It's the one on the rear half of the car. Might leave that till another day. I'm not going to have time to bleed it today. So yeah, that's basically the only job left, is to bleed it. Right, so my apprentice and I have just bled the brakes. So I've just been checking for leaks, and touch wood, I can't see any. So I've just put the wheels on Put the rear spacers on as well. That's probably filled the arches out now. As you guys know, the rear wheels are kind of sitting a bit too much in the arches, so I've chucked some 20mm spacers on the back to push the wheels out a bit, and they look pretty cool. Although the car's not on the floor yet, so I can't quite see how they're going to sit. But yeah, let's have a little look. So yeah, we've got the front wheels on. I'll have to, once I lower it on the ground, obviously torque all the wheels up, and then I can torque up the drive shaft nut. There's some insane amount of Newton meters. I can't remember what it was, like, I don't know, something far more than my torque wrench can do. So I'll have to try and judge that one, and then I'll have to bend in a little bit there into that divot there. It's like a safety mechanism to stop it undoing itself. There's the front ones. There's the rear ones on. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see, but yeah, they fit the arch much better now. We'll have a look once the car's dropped down. It's almost there. It's only been like 4 months. Oh well, hopefully all this work will help make the car last a bit longer.